Merry Christmas. This is Pastor Ben, and I hope you and your family are having a wonderful Advent Christmas season. I've enjoyed preaching from the book of Hebrews this Advent season. The first sermon was from chapter 1, titled The Glorious Son. The second one, chapter 3, The Faithful Son. The third one that will post soon is from chapter 7, The Perfect Son, and then the fourth and final one from chapter 10, titled The Will of God. For Christians, when we think of the advent of Christ, our hearts and minds are drawn beyond the birth story. It's important. Every word of it is important. However, when we think about the coming of Jesus, we recognize he came with purpose and meaning and intention. And so as we think about the coming of Jesus, we're drawn to his life, his birth, his life, his death, his resurrection, and yes, his second coming. So I hope these sermons on who Jesus is, the testimony of the book of Hebrews, of what Jesus has done for us, has been a blessing for you and to you this Advent season. Now, normally I post my sermon podcast episodes on Wednesday, but because Christmas and New Year's both fall on Wednesday this year, for the next two episodes, I'm going to post them on Monday. So this coming Monday will be the sermon from Hebrews 7, The Perfect Son, and then on the 30th of December will be the sermon from Hebrews 10, The Will of God. One more thing before I go. I'd like to ask you to help me spread the word about the podcast. I'm very thankful for my home church, Central Baptist Church in Waycross, Georgia, for all they do to help produce and support the podcast so that my preaching ministry can have an impact beyond our local context. You can help with this by spreading the word. And here's how you can do that. First, in whatever app you use to listen to podcasts, if you would subscribe to Ben Smith, All for the Kingdom. And then secondly, if you would rate and review the podcast. So most apps have a way for you to star or rate it in some way, and then you can usually write a review. Podcast apps use subscription numbers, ratings, and reviews to determine what podcasts should be elevated and promoted and which ones should not. And so by doing those things, you can help push and spread the word of the podcast. And the last thing I would encourage you to do is share it. So find somebody that you think would be blessed by the podcast and send them a link and encourage them to listen. Thank you again for listening. I count it a great honor that you would give your time and attention to listening each week, and I do hope that you have a wonderfully blessed Christmas and a blessed 2025.